all the commissioners, the staff, all the public that are here, as well as Metro, for this meeting. Next slide, please. Do we have the slides up yet?
Liz will be here today.
She gonna take it, you think?
Yeah.
You on the call?
I'm just listening to a meeting.
What's,
Do you need something?
what's the lady's name who did the window? Maria something?
Yeah.
What's her real name?
All right, looks
Becky.
like slides are getting up right now.
Because we gotta check it. I don't know who that invoice name is.
Oh,
I thought it must be her.
no, I think I put on the invoice name, the name of the restaurant. Yes, and then I put burritos at the end.
It sounds like someone needs to be muted.
Start them at 3 and not at 2:40. It's too late. Everybody has this copy of this one, but
Okay, we're ready for the Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner Gutierrez, do you mind leading us? Thanks, Commissioner Gutierrez. Next slide, please. All the commissioners should have seen the minutes from the last meeting. If there's no issues, I need a motion and a second to vote.
Chairman, do we need the roll call?
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I just prefer
No,
to
gotcha.
not see if any of you
We're
are
moving
here.
fast.
Stephanie, could you do the roll call, please? Thank you. Present.
Present. Present. Present.
Present.
Present.
Present.
Thank you. Next slide, please. Now we're at approval of the minutes. If there's any commissioners have any concerns about the minutes? Oh, we're not quite there yet. All right. Sorry, let's wait for the slides to be fixed. If all the commissioners have seen the minutes, we can just go ahead and motion and vote on them.
Commissioner Jackson Kelly, I move that we accept the minutes as printed.
I second.
All righty. Stephanie, we do a quick roll call for voting for the minutes. Approve.
Approved. Approved.
Approved. Approve.
Approve. Approve.
Approve.
Thanks. Next slide, please. All right. Apparently I can't type. The Gov delivery did not go out in January. It came out last week. If anyone in the public wants to be on the subscription, please email MVA. They're doing a lot of great information out there, so please subscribe. We're slowly creeping to 100 subscribers, very, very slowly. So please subscribe to the channel. it helps the county account. And then for the commissioners, once again, after this meeting, we're going to only be communicating through your county email. So make sure you have that taken care of. If there's any issues, please give IT. And we have mandatory training. And after this meeting, we need to give a primary date and a secondary date for this training. And it's currently available the 9th, the 11th, the 25th, and the 26th. So please keep that in the back of your mind so we can, there's a certain amount of commissioners that have to attend this at the same time. So let's figure out a time that works for all of us. Next slide. So as many of you remember, we had to get a memo of finding from Legislative Affairs regarding our support of AB 46. So that was sent out in an email. Hopefully there's not too many questions, but I'm going to turn it over to Commissioner Allman to go over his recommendation number 3, which is on the next slide.
Thanks, Chair. Are we reading the recommendation into the record, or because it was available on the commission website ahead of time, are we?
I think you can just read it real quick. Yeah, I think
Okay.
we should just read it since it's been a
Uh,
little bit of time.
For those in the public who aren't aware, we received a briefing from LA County Legislative Affairs on several pieces of legislation in the state and whether or not the county is currently in support of any of those bills. Of the 5, I believe 3, the County of Los Angeles has taken a position of support. There were 2 bills that didn't have a position one way or the other. And so this recommendation is specific to AB 46. And so I'll read it into the record right now. Recommendation 3, whereas Assembly Bill AB 46, referred to as the Military Services Retirement and Surviving Spouse Benefit Payment Act, was introduced on December 5th, 2022. Whereas AB 46, Section 2D states, providing a state income tax exclusion to retirees of the uniformed services not only signifies the gratitude of Californians for these men and women who chose to serve our country, it also benefits the state and local economies by helping to retain skilled and motivated individuals in California. Whereas AB 46, Section 2G also states, the United States Department of Defense's Survivor Benefit Plan allows a retiree to ensure after death a continuous lifetime annuity for their dependents. The maximum annuity for a spouse is based on 55% of the member's retirement pay. Eligible children may also be beneficiaries. State income taxation of these funds, which are critical to the economic well-being of those who have suffered the loss of a husband, wife, father, or mother, can place the surviving family members in risk of falling into the state and local safety nets. Whereas on July 19th, 2023, the Veterans Advisory Commission received a briefing from the LA County CEO's Office of Legislative and Intergovernmental Relations. Whereas at that briefing, the Office of Legislative Affairs and Intergovernmental Relations provided the commission with an update on state legislation pertaining to the military veteran community, including AB 1386, SB 783, AB 718, AB 46, and AB 684. Whereas currently AB 1386, SB 783, and AB 718 have received an advocacy position of support by the County of Los Angeles, whereas the County of Los Angeles has not taken a position in support or against AB 46 or AB 684. Whereas AB 46 has received support from the following organizations: Military Officers Association of America, California Council of Chapters Affiliated Military Officers Association of America, San Diego Military Advisory Council, Orange Empire Military Officers Club, California Enlisted Association of the National Guard of the United States, California State Commanders Veterans Council, and the San Diego County Taxpayers Association. Therefore, be it resolved on September 20th, 2023, the Los Angeles County Veterans Advisory Commission recommends that the Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors support a motion directing the CEO's Office of Legislative and Intergovernmental Affairs to take a policy position in support of AB 46.
Thanks, Commissioner Allman. I will note, as we learned last time, California is the only state where this is not the case. So just want to check if we have any other quick comments before we put this to a vote. Commissioner Crooks?
This bill now is a 2-year bill. I don't know if you're all aware of that.
Commissioner, thanks. I am aware of that, and that's why I think it's all the more reason necessary to show support for this recommendation. Because I think, and I would hope that if the County of Los Angeles supports it, it'll move. That's the goal, at least.
If there's no other discussion, and need a commissioner to make a motion to vote.
I move we approve this now.
Commissioner,
Thank you. Can we do a roll call for the vote, please, Stephanie? Yay.
Yay. Yay.
yay.
Yay.
Yay.
Commissioner Anderson,
Yay.
Thanks, Commissioner Allman, for all your work on this. Next slide, please. If you, I want to thank the LA Metro for being here to speak with us today. I'll let them, we need to pull up their slides. Do they have separate slides?
on Metro now, or where?
No, I mean, did they bring in, do you all have separate slides that you would like to, did you send them separate slides to brief or? Okay, do you, okay. Okay. However you'd like to, I didn't have them, so I didn't put them into this deck. So however you'd like to do it.
Hello. Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Claire Haggerty. I am the Director of Public Arts and Design at Metro. And thank you for having us back. We were here in January, on January 18th of this year, to give a presentation on the artist selection process. And the artworks are now at a point in the design where we can share them with you. It's also really nice to be back here in Bob Pope Patriotic Hall. I used to work for the county, and I watched Kent Twitchell paint those murals that are in the lobby now. And I've given many tours of the artwork in this building. And I helped Glenn Roosevelt inventory the art and artifacts in this building. So I've spent a lot of time here, and it's really nice to be here again. Today, I'm going to provide a walkthrough of the artwork designs in progress for the station that's at the VA hospital. 3 weeks ago, we had an open house at the VA, a Meet the Artists event. We had 100 people attend, and 2 of the commissioners attended as well. Today's presentation is going to be a condensed version to provide a preview of the artwork in the station under construction. And according to the agenda, I have 20 minutes, so I will ask that questions are saved to the end, and also so that we have plenty of time to discuss your thoughts on the artwork as well at the end. Oh, and also, if you're in the room today, we actually brought prints of the artworks. So we have large scale prints so you can get a better look. And we have fabrication samples, material samples, so you can see what the artworks will be made of. Those are in the back. Thank you. Next slide. So this slide is a recap of the procurement process. So I'm just going to read through it quickly. Procurements are fair, unbiased, open, and competitive. All procurements adhere to POC, FTA, and CA requirements, including open competition and prohibition against preferential treatment in public contracting. We did an RFQ, a request for qualifications, a call to artists that included a 3-month outreach period from October 2019 to January 2020. And we held 5 technical assistance pre-proposal conferences throughout the county. We did targeted outreach to stakeholders, including veterans. We collaborated with local community-based organizations, or CBOs. We distributed information at over 100 colleges, shops, cafes, and community centers. We advertised in 22 publications, both print and digital. We emailed the project, the Purple Line Extension stakeholder list, as well as Metro Art. We put notifications on Facebook for both the project and Metro Art, and we invited veteran organizations to participate and share the information with their networks. We had over 1,500 artists submit their qualifications. A community-based arts professional selection panel selected the artists, and we had a veteran community representation that was determined in consultation with VA leadership. And the selection of the artists was unanimous, and then contracts were awarded. Next slide. The current status, and this is specifically for the Westwood VA Hospital Station. We have 5 artists who've been working under contract since February 2022. We've held 19 art workshops with targeted outreach to veterans. We've engaged over 100 veterans and veteran organizations. The station artworks include portraits of veterans and artwork by veterans. And we had an open house, as I mentioned, at the VA to share the artwork designs, where we had 100 people attend, and we received written comments, and those comments are being incorporated into the artwork designs. Next slide. So, recognizing the diversity and varied life experiences of the veteran community, and to connect with future users of the station, the 5 commissioned artworks that I'm about to share with you all reflect a diversity of styles and approaches. Next slide. So again, this is a walkthrough, so sort of a virtual walkthrough as if you were going to the station. So this is on the north side of the campus, and this is an access point that will safely get veterans and VA staff and people on the north side of the campus over Wilshire Boulevard to where the station entrance is, which is on the south side of Wilshire Boulevard. That pink wall is going to be a mosaic artwork. And the artwork is going to honor a small section of the mural that's at the intersection of Wilshire and Bonsall. I think many of you are aware that there's an extensive mural there by Peter Stewart. It's over 23,000 square feet, and we have to decommission approximately 115 feet to create this entranceway to the station. And so the new artwork is going to honor that portion of the mural that will be decommissioned. Next slide. The artists have designed this artwork with input from veterans. The artists collaborated with Village for Vets and with Firestone Phoenix, which is a supportive housing for formerly homeless households, including veterans. Participants were asked what was important to keep in the new artwork and what was important to update. The section of the original mural was intended to honor people in active duty. It was important to the participants to include the family and community networks, as well as honoring mental health. Also, the parrot, which you can see a little bit in this image, and you can see better in the larger printouts, is a nod to the original artist, Peter Stewart. Peter Stewart was a Navy veteran who was an animal conservationist, and he had a pet parrot that lived with him in his van. And this artwork honors him as much as the artwork he created with many veteran volunteers. This artwork will be fabricated in mosaic tile. Next slide, please. So after you safely cross Wilshire from the North Plaza, you will reach the main entrance to the station, which is right across from the hospital and where the construction site is too, if you've been at the VA lately. This artwork area is noted in the pink section of this rendering. It starts at the plaza level, which is the glass surrounding the entrance, and then extends onto the walls next to the escalators. These renderings give you an idea of the artwork locations, which are integral to the artwork, to the architectural design. Next slide, please. The artists have designed a bright, welcoming, and healing environment, thinking of the proximity to the hospital. The style is not representational, it's abstract, it's not prescribed. People can have their own experience with it. The artists are using light and color and refracted light and have included colors and textures from plants, trees, and buildings from around the station area. This artwork will be fabricated in glass tile. Next slide. Oh, can you skip to the next slide? Sorry, these are out of order. And then we'll go back. Okay, so this, after you get down, all the way down to the ticketing area, we have an artwork that is, you can see in this pink area that will wrap all the way around the ticketing area above the ticketing vending machines. So if you could go back up to that one before, please. This artwork brings the world above into the underground space. The artwork style is a collage of nature and architecture from the surrounding area, including artworks by veterans from workshops held at the VA. One of the artists is behind me. The artwork is intended to feel calming and grounding in a space that can be hectic with people rushing about. This artwork will also be fabricated in glass tile. Next slide. And the next one. Okay. After you go through the fair gate, you will pass through the concourse to get to the platform area. Next slide. The artwork area on the concourse, oh, it was in the pink in the image before. This artwork will be one mural, but I've separated it into two so that you can see it better. The artwork will be fabricated in mosaic tile and is a detailed panorama of Los Angeles history with a focus on the area around the station, including the VA campus. I recognize that this is the artwork that the Commission is most interested in discussing. I want to acknowledge the inappropriate newspaper in one of the iterations of the design. We and the artist were not aware of the context and apologize for any unintentional harm. This was brought to our attention at the Meet the Artist event, and the artist has replaced it with a US military newspaper, the Stars and Stripes. Since the event, the artist has also removed some of the tree branches that were partially obscuring the plaque that's on the entry gates that reads the National Soldiers Home, so that that name is more prominent. There are additional comments about the artwork that we received during the Meet the Artist event that the artist is working on incorporating into the design, and I'm also looking forward to hearing your thoughts at the end of this presentation about the artwork design now. Okay, next slide. Finally, you'll descend to the platform to catch your train. Arguably, this is the place you'll spend the longest time, but hopefully not too long. The area in pink is where the artwork will be. So there'll be artwork above the train tunnels and then artwork that will extend on the train walls. Next slide. This artwork features 5 real people who are all veterans from Los Angeles County. Each portrait tells the person's whole life story, their pre-military, military, and post-military lives. Along the train walls, the artwork continues in an undulating dog tag chain with images from each of the portraits. Given the breadth of the portrait's subject interests, there is something for everyone to connect with in this artwork. This artwork will be fabricated in porcelain enamel tile. Porcelain enamel steel panels, rather. All the artwork materials for this station are tried and true and durable and easy to maintain. And you are welcome to come and touch and pick up and feel the material samples that we brought. That we brought examples of each of these material samples that I mentioned today, the mosaic, glass, and porcelain enamel steel. Okay, final slide. So now I want to open it up to your thoughts on the artwork design. I also want to share that we will be launching a call to artists for a new artist pool in this coming year. This pool will be used for multiple Metro projects, like our last pool was, over the next few years. We will be looking for places to hold these technical assistance workshops and welcome your suggestions for places that are friendly to artists who are veterans, as well as recommendations for veterans serving arts organizations who we can reach out to and spread the word and encourage artists who are veterans to participate. And we brought a whole stack of postcards to share with your networks and to leave here that give people the information on how to sign up for our mailing list and learn about these art opportunities. So I'll open the floor for questions or
Thanks, Claire.
discussion.
Thanks again, Metro, for being here. Excited to have an artist here also. I'm going to let my colleagues speak first. Only thing I will say, I'll make my comments at the end, but I will first of all reiterate that the commission, and from my knowledge, almost all majority of veterans I speak to are hugely in support of the station itself. We're very excited about the opportunities it brings, the ease of transportation, as well as for the workers at the VA, for them to recruit and to be able to hire other workers that may not be able to afford to live in a close proximity. So just want to make it very clear for the record that we are highly in support of the station itself. Commissioners, I'll leave it to you to you all to speak, and I'll finish it up.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to say thank you for taking the time to come out and speak with us and letting us know of the changes, and certainly of this most immediate change that occurred, how that got to you, and the fact that you responded, speaks volumes. And going forward, we certainly appreciate the ability to be able to make those comments and that they're listened to ensure that all of the stakeholders, the veterans, Metro, the county, that we're all in sync and on the same page in supporting the veteran community. I just did want to leave a couple of thoughts, and that is on the one piece that has dinosaurs on it. I noticed that there was a Navy ship on there. There was a submarine, and I even asked, well, where was the naval base that have that warship? Where was the dinosaurs? I mean, maybe centuries ago, maybe that occurred, or millions of years ago. But whether you live here or whether you happen to be a veteran that has to come to this facility from outside the county, there might be some transition, some loss of meaning as to what that really means. And perhaps maybe, looking at that to make it more inclusive in terms of the veterans overall, not necessarily just the veterans that happen to live in LA County that might identify with some of that symbolism that's in there. So I like the idea, certainly the notion, just making sure that it's more inclusive and recognizable, not just to the area, but to the veteran community as a whole. So thank you for coming here. Thank you for listening, and continue to listen as we progress forward.
That's a really great comment. And could I ask you to just expand on what that imagery might be that makes it connect to people, that's recognizable? Do you have something in mind? Or, I mean, if you want to think about it.
So honestly, I just recently looked at this, and I found it hard to connect, because I was like asking myself, where was the Navy base here in LA County? I was like, okay, well, there's one down in San Diego, but there's, where's this? And I'm not sure. I'd have to go back and look at the history of this area to see if there were dinosaurs here. I know that there's some dinosaurs up north and a big, yeah. So, and again, it's, I'm trying to understand what I'm looking at, and I'm having some difficulties connecting some of the dots. I asked the question because I haven't actually visited the VA hospital. I'm like, which one of these buildings is the VA hospital? oh, well, there's a barber shop there. And I'm like, oh, well, what does that barber shop have to do with the VA complex, right? Oh, well, it's a place that, you know, folks go to. And unless you happen to be here and go there frequently, you wouldn't know that. But it would certainly be nice, you know, that visitors, whether you live here, are connected there, you know, you have to, you know, get services there, that everybody can connect. And I don't have the answers, but I'm sure that as you speak with other commissioners and other folks that, you know, they could give maybe some alternatives as, you know, that would help really connect, you know, all the veterans, regardless of where they live, where they come by.
Thank you. That's really helpful.
Hi, Claire.
Hey.
I just
Hi,
want to
Anthony.
reiterate my support for the Metro station. You know, I think all of us here, and you know, I'm not going to speak for the other commissioners, but this Metro station is going to be a great thing for the community. And so I think, you know, all of the comments we make is not to be interpreted as you know, somehow, you know, against Metro. Absolutely not. I mean, I think when you're talking about putting 1,200 residents, veterans on the campus who are primarily going to be low income, they're going to need access to transportation. And this station is great, not to mention all of the concerns that VA has with regard to retaining talent, right? So I think the Metro station is going to be having a positive impact on that. I appreciate the apology regarding the newspaper. Is there anything else that changed between the artwork 3 weeks ago and today? Were there any other amendments other than?
There was two changes. So one is the newspaper dispenser now has the Stars and Stripes newspaper.
Mhm.
And then the other was on one of the columns at the entrance of the VA, there's a jacaranda tree. And part of the tree branches were obscuring the plaque that says the National Soldiers Home.
Yeah.
So the artist moved or removed some of the branches so that plaque is more visibly, can be read more clearly.
Did the Westwood Village sign disappear?
There's been no other changes except for those two changes, but there's other changes that the artist is working on based on the comment cards we received. And also, you know, will be based on feedback we received today.
Okay. So I've had some time to think about what I saw a couple weeks ago. Obviously, I was concerned enough to you know, inform the other commissioners that they should see this for themselves. But generally speaking, I just 3 observations. You know, one, the images that are displayed primarily on the ends. You have Hammer Museum on one end. There was another image in there of the Westwood Village sign. And I think it has the effect of creating a focal point that this is Westwood Village. And I just want to express that that is very problematic with respect to this campus. And I just want to read the first paragraph of the LA Times story today. It says a federal judge has set the stage for a possible trial next year in a lawsuit challenging leases of land on West LA's Veterans Affairs campus to UCLA and a private school and the slow progress of housing. My fear is that if you put a lot of images of Westwood in this station, it is going to touch on a zeitgeist within the veteran community that is not going to view this mural favorably, because this campus over the years has regained its sense of identity, and it just is not Westwood. So for example, there's Royce Hall in the background. And I say this as somebody who went to UCLA. I love UCLA, proud graduate, lived in Westwood for 8 years. This property is not that. It's a completely different space. And so I would just be observant of a lot of imagery that is reminiscent of Westwood Village. The second thing I would note, and I think the Vice sort of touched on this with respect to the dinosaurs and military hardware. I think since this opportunity, or since this issue has come to light in December, a lot of veterans have expressed what they wanted to see. You know, I know that there's some debate regarding whether or not veterans have had enough input in this process, but since then, I think a lot of the veterans community has said that they wanted to see some sort of historical panorama of this property serving the veteran community since its inception. And the thing that I would note is that while the military hardware may give some token reference to the community, this campus was not a military base. right? It wasn't a Navy Yard. This campus has served as a veterans home for its entire existence, with the exception of the past few decades, and we're trying to correct that. And so I think the major difference between, it's a continuum, right? The military veteran community is a continuum. You start in the military, you come out, you're a veteran. And I think the transition, and commissioners, you can, riff on this, is I think in the military, a lot of it is about the hardware, right? Whether it's the ships or the fighter jets or whatever. But the veteran community, it's about the people. It's about the human beings. And so that's why I think that the dinosaurs and the military hardware, when I was explaining to people in the public who had not had an opportunity to look at this, well, what does it look like? I said, it looks like the land before time meets D-Day, and I mean it. It's not appropriate for this place. And then, we've already discussed the final point. I'm very happy you guys recognized and made the change with regard to the newspaper. And the only reason why I thought that it was an issue is because for so long we were told to focus on the current artwork, and I agreed. And I talked to a lot of veterans in this room who disagreed with me. And so we just don't want to put anything in there that is reminiscent of the past. Thanks.
Thank you. That's really helpful, Anthony.
Claire Haggerty.
Hi, Dennis.
Hi. Thank you for coming. And I would reiterate what I think is probably the general feeling of the commission, that the station is welcome, and that they're very interested in having and supportive of that. My objections, and I don't think they're unique, are on two tracks. One is that the artist under contract is not competent to observe on the veteran experience, neither as a veteran, but also someone whose previous work has shown himself to be hostile to people who served in the armed forces. So there's an objection there. The other objection is, and that flows into the questions that I have, it's somewhat reflective of Commissioner Allman's comments, but there is nothing in the showpiece art for the station to be more than 100 feet long that reflects the lived experience of veterans. And we have to ask, why were there no veterans depicted in the showpiece art for the VA station? So that's the question and accompaniment to the comments. Nobody wants to cancel artist Sando Burke. Nobody thinks that he shouldn't be gainfully employed as an artist, or frankly, for a mural that is depicting the lived experience of Los Angeles in general, that's a bad mural. It's a bad location. It would be my observation. And I think that for people who come to get care for their burns, for their prostheses, for their conditions of post-trauma stress, that they deserve to see something in a sufficiency of size and scale that reflects who they are. So those are the comments, but my questions are, why weren't any of those other things there? I think I know an answer, but I think that is cause for reflection. The other is, this is in effect, in its scale, a national size monument. So that's the sobriety, that's the sober reflection that ought to be applied to that artwork, particularly for people who have suffered by way of their service.
Chair, can I add to that?
Thank you very much.
I would just add that it is a national landmark, right? I mean, I think that that's something to take into consideration.
Any other commissioners?
Commissioner Jackson Kelly, again, I want to thank you for being here today. And I don't want to be repetitious about what has been discussed, but I want to know who will see the final draft before you post it.
Oh, before we complete fabrication?
Right.
Well, we plan to, work with the artist to address, the feedback we've heard both at the event that we had a couple, 3 weeks ago and from this meeting, and then also probably other opportunities, that we have to collaborate and work with our veteran community. You're asking if we'll come back and give a presentation of the artwork?
Not necessarily that, but we would like someone from the commission to see it prior to, it being posted.
Yeah.
At least the commissioners that are in the area, that live in the area or assigned to their area, at least will look at it. And my second question is, you said that the VA selected a veteran to sit on the board. I wanted to know, was it gender specific? Was it a male veteran, or did you have a male and female veteran so that the female veteran will be represented on that commission, on that board?
We had one panelist representing, each of the panel was made up of, they did the selection for 4 stations. So Beverly Hills, Century City, Westwood, UCLA, and the Westwood VA. So we had panelists for each of those stations. We had a male veteran, and we had a female whose father is a veteran who's very active in the Los Angeles County veteran community.
Okay. I do have some concerns about that. I think it's fine to have a family member represented, but it's not a female veteran.
Mhm.
So I would ask that you look at that, please.
Yeah, overall for our procurements, we do strive to for gender balance and background and cultural balance on these panels.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Palmero here. Hi, thank you again. I know everybody said thank you, but really thank you for taking the time out and really getting our input, everyone's input in, and just being able to reflect, because this is going to be permanent. People from across the country, people around the world are going to come and see this mural. So it is so important because it's going to be permanent, because it's going to be seen, that we are forward thinking, right? And we are preparing in anticipation for what's going to be seen. And I am really just going to be honest with you, being a woman, being a veteran, I'm a minority of a minority, right? Within a minority. And it is really hard for me to go to see anything and not feel represented, right? And I was already a little bit disappointed because I feel disconnected from a lot of the artwork, but even more so now to hear that there wasn't a veteran who was a woman, because a dependent woman is not the same as a veteran woman. We did not make the same commitments. We did not make the same sacrifice. We were not willing to make the same sacrifice, right? So I just want to really, again, reiterate the importance of making sure that what we're seeing, and it's beautiful. I mean, honestly, it is beautiful, but I don't feel like it represents my service or my friend's service or my sister's service or those that did not make it home. So I don't know what changes can be made. I don't know what considerations can be made, but the VA can be very difficult for some to drive there, to go and get their services there, because it triggers you or it might make you feel a certain kind of way. And to understand the importance of wanting to see something that makes you feel welcomed, that makes you feel proud of your service is so important, especially because of the land that it's on. The land that it's on was originally for veterans. And for the last few decades, we've kind of failed in what our mission is. And so now we have this opportunity to rectify this. And so it is important really to take into consideration holistically what we're seeing with anything that we add, anything that we change going forward, because we don't know how long it'll be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Palmero.
Commissioner McFadden, I know you're online. If we can.
Yes. Can you
get
hear
her.
me? Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Commissioner.
Okay, perfect. So I want to say thank you as well. Appreciate you coming in. I know this is really something that's been on our minds for a number of time. And just reiterating what Commissioner Palmero is saying, the VA campus is really a place that provides veterans with access with a full continuum of healthcare, a range of services and treatments, including hospital, residential, long-term, various outpatient services. This is a community where veterans and military service members go to find their respite, where they find home and they find that community. And so anything that is being hung up or displayed or reflected as something at that location should really be indicative not only of the campus itself and what it signifies, and the longevity and history of the veterans that are being served on those campuses, male, female, otherwise. And so we really want something that's longstanding. This is going to be a global, venue where people will go through from all over the world, especially with the Olympics and everything coming up. And so we want to make sure that it is reflective of the best part of this campus and the best part of our military veterans and the best part of our services. And some of those aspects that I noted that you have adjusted are great changes. So I'm glad that those are being made. And it's just taking those additional steps to ensure that the totality of the veteran space and the VA campus are reflected in what that design will reflect from now and in many, many years to come.
Thank you, Commissioner McFadden. I was looking at you, but I don't know if you can see.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, and hopefully I'll be the last comment. I would just encourage Metro to, when you get to your last final drawing, that you host several town hall meetings. And I'm not talking over weeks. I'm talking, you can consolidate them within a week and hit them at different times of the day, evening, during the day, weekends, that sort of thing. And so you can maximize participation and get the response of that final draft. I would encourage you to work with the department to assist in getting the word out so that you know that, and the artists will know whether or not they hit that mark. Because again, we wouldn't want, inadvertently, something to be in there that later on will have to be changed because of, some outcry. So I would encourage that, and that would show good faith on everyone's part to try to make sure that what ultimately gets there is bought in by everyone. So I would encourage you to do that. Reach out to any other groups if you're looking at changing some of the imagery. That would be great. And then that final piece, if you hold a town hall meeting within a week span, evening, weekends, days, what have you, so you can get maximum participation and input and buy-in ultimately, because I think at the end, that's what we all want to be able to do is buy into that, right? So thank you so very much.
Commissioner Allman.
Yeah, Chair. Hi again. We provided questions in advance. Did you receive those questions?
Which questions?
The commissioners, we sent questions to the department. Were they sent to you?
We received 2 questions from the 3rd District Supervisor's Office, but I don't know if those are the questions that you're talking about.
Director?
Nothing was sent directly from Military and Veterans Affairs to us in advance of this meeting.
Okay. Well, then this wouldn't really make sense, but I do have a couple questions just in general about the contractual obligations that Metro has with the artist, because I think we've heard in the past that, the artist is under contract, but what specifically does that mean? Is the artist under contract to produce a design? Is the artist under contract to manufacture that design? Is the artist under contract to install that artwork? There's different gradients here, right? So could you clarify what that contract relationship looks like?
Yeah, okay. Yes, we did receive these questions.
Okay.
The artist is under contract for the design.
Just the design?
Yes.
Okay. So there's no obligation for Metro to install this current concept?
Well, the artist is still working on the artwork design.
Right.
And as you know, we're here to work with you all to get your feedback that it can be incorporated into the final design.
Right. But it's not an obligation with respect to, let's say Metro comes to a point and design is final. And then something comes up, you know, because what I am concerned about is some sort of cat and mouse game, right? Where something else pops up, right? So that's what I'm saying is at a certain point, the design becomes final and Metro has a decision to make with regard to manufacture that art and put it in the station. But there's nothing that would legally bind VA to install whatever design is final into the station.
These artworks are architecturally integrated, as I mentioned, so that is the wall finish. So it is part of the station design.
Okay.
But I appreciate Commissioner Noyola's recommendation of doing the town halls, because I think that would be a really great way to reach a wide audience once the design advances and we can say, we heard this and this is what, you know, what is in the artwork, much like we're doing today with, we heard this at the Meet the Artist event and here's how the artist has responded, so that, you know, there's no surprises.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, commissioners. I, like everyone in this room, have a lot of feelings about this. I'm going to let the public speak for me. I will say this, though. I'm a huge fan of Metro. I was looking through their goals. And your number 2 goal for Vision 2028 is to deliver outstanding trip experiences for all users of the transportation system. And I'll bring this up again, and then I'll be done. This is what I talked about when we had our meeting with Metro and SD3, is not everyone understands everyone's experience. Not every veteran has the same experience, but I guarantee you everyone in here understands pain. We've all had pain, loss, in ways that no one else could really understand. And I can't reiterate enough, we use words like diversity and inclusion. We use words like moral injury. And I just hope you continue to remember that there are 170,000 veterans that get care in the greater Los Angeles catchment area. And they're going to have a lot of feelings every time they show up at this. And you're never going to get the art perfect. There's no perfect answer. But just remember that we all live this shared pain experience. And I hope you carry that with you throughout whatever process you continue down this path. So thanks again for being here. It's not easy to stand and kind of have to answer questions. So we do appreciate you all being here and being willing to listen. So thank you.
Thank you, Chair Zito, and thanks, commissioners. It's very helpful to hear your thoughts. And yeah, I just really appreciate your time and thoughtfulness in crafting these comments for us.
Thank you.
And please go and look at the artwork at the end. All of them. They're really, so much work has gone into these artworks so far.
Claire Haggerty, what my hope is, and I hope that the artist lives long and prospers. But my hope is that Metro hasn't dug its heels in on the issue of the artist, because that's where some of that pain is connected. And it's visual, it's historical. To say that, well, the art that was created was a long time ago. World War II was a long time ago, but we're living in the shadow of it right now. I really think Metro will serve the nation well, serve itself, and serve the VA well in an effort to find an artist who reflects what the veterans' experience is. And that's no disparagement of this artist for any other project, but this one matters. I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. We're going to go ahead. I'm going to make a call. We're going to skip over. We're going to skip over recommendation 4 right now. We're going to come back to it. But I think that it's very important. We've never had this many public comments before, and I want to take the time to ensure that we hear from the public, because while we represent them, their voices are more important. And for the 2 people that signed up, Mira Duarte and Robert Pelgado, sorry if I can't read your handwriting, but we'll add you to the end. So, yeah. So let's go ahead. Very first one, Mr. Robbins, are you present? And just a reminder, you do have 3 minutes. I hate to cut you off, but as you can imagine, we have significantly more comments than normal, and we want to give everyone time to be able to speak. So thank you. Thank you for being here, Mr. Robbins.
Thank you. So I'll be quick. I'm not going to be as articulate as these fine ladies and gentlemen up here, but my name is Drew Robbins. I was born and raised in Los Angeles. I'm a veteran. I joined the Marine Corps after 9/11, right after high school. 2 tours in Iraq. When I saw the mural, I think my first thought was just confusion. It doesn't make any sense. The dinosaurs, the ships, the paratroopers falling down on Century City. It's almost like the artist doesn't really even understand what it is to be a veteran. And I believe he's from Los Angeles, but the sense that I get is that he's trying to pull in all these different areas of Los Angeles into this one metro station. When I lived in New York for 10 years, I've traveled around the world. When you go to these metro stations around the country and around the world, when you arrive, it's about that specific place, right? It's not about the city as a whole. And I think the title even says something about the prehistory and total history of Los Angeles. I don't see anything about Native Americans. I don't see anything about the Spanish conquistadors or Mexican history in there. I see dinosaurs and I see, Westwood and paratroopers. So the title doesn't even make any sense. I think that this station, because of its location, should represent more veterans. I don't feel that it does right now. If people were traveling around, from all over the world to come here, I would be embarrassed to have this on display, that this is somehow a representation of Los Angeles or veterans or anything like that. So I would hope that Metro reconsiders either the artist itself or the entire design, because it just doesn't, it feels like it was thrown together very quickly. It doesn't feel like it really makes any sense at all. So that's all I have to say about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Robbins. Is Mr. Oppenheim here?
I am.
Sir, your time will start whenever you begin, sir. 3 minutes.
Great. So I'm John Oppenheim, Air Force veteran, 1958, 1962. Anybody older than I am here? First of all, I want to tell you that I am a rider of Metro. I'm a volunteer. I live in Long Beach. For 75 cents, I came up here because I volunteer here as well, representing myself, however. I had a big speech all prepared and then things changed. I think that mural looks great somewhere else. I would like to invite you to come to Century Villages at Cabrillo in Long Beach, where we have a mural of the Long Beach veteran area. Here's my card. Send me an email. I have a picture of it. And it represents the veteran experience. And that's the thing that everybody's talking about here today. And I'm just going to give you the end of what I was writing there, because I think everybody else is saying it good. And that is that I think that the last stop on the D line should honor veterans and show that the MTA stands by us. And when we step off the train, we're greeted with a mural that says, "Welcome, veteran. This is your domain, and we stand with you." Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Millen, are you present? Or are you online? Is he online, Mr. Millen? And for the speakers, I know it's a little awkward, but please speak into the mic. I know Metro's behind you, but it's hard for people, the public, to hear if you're not speaking into the microphone. Is Mr. Millen there? We'll turn back around to him. Mr. Lasser?
Commissioners, my name is Tom Lasser. I'm a retired soldier, Vietnam veteran, Army helicopter pilot by trade. I live in Redondo Beach. I'm a resident of Los Angeles County. I greatly appreciate your support of Assembly Bill 46. As you stated, California is the only state in the union that taxes its military retirees, and that's a sad tale. Assemblyman Ramos, this is his second or third attempt. The bill was turned into, as you stated, a 2-year bill, which means it's alive and well, and it'll take the commission's endorsement and the support of Los Angeles County to push this forward. I believe that if Los Angeles County supports it, as big as LA County is, that will make the state legislator listen and encourage the governor to sign it. The impact is that it's a grateful thank you to the military and their families in California, and it'll attract and retain quality, skilled people at a middle age that will be able to support the large workforce in the state of California. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Lasser. Rob Reynolds, are you present? Or is he online? We can also swing back and check. Phyllis Miller.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and it's an honor to have this opportunity to express, because not often in the veteran community we receive sometimes a footnote or even a moment of thought or a moment to express a thought. As a veteran myself, I think of those that are before me, those who can't speak, those who have great history on this West LA VA ground, and to think of the mission statement of the Bandini family, as well as other citizens that are taking for granted that veterans are being represented in this art project. It's too many details to go into, but I will say this. The representation of the art is missing the following. One, the historical of those before us. Because as ride sharers, and I do ride the Metro, and I do think it's great to have transportation. However, I'm from the eyes of a public or individuals who may not have veterans in their family or do. It's nice to see images that tell a story, because that's what art is all about. As an artist myself, art is to tell a history, a story beyond words. And often art is the one that breaks barriers. But when a ride sharer and a person that's on the Metro and get off Metro, go through the VA or go through the facilities and see, mismatched art that has no purpose, no meaning, no connection, and no definement of what the veteran culture is about. While I praise Metro for other communities where they have performed artist calls and have captured great culture images of various communities throughout this great city, except for the veteran community, there were often that many of our proposals, and I speak for myself and various other artists, did not receive the follow-up, poor communication from Metro, a shrug on the shoulders, and often a comment of, well, is very competitive. So as a veteran, I want to convey to others that the art images and historical images to be on the walls or wherever around our veteran community. And when receive a calling to God, we want to at least know that our legacy of visuals live on. So those of World War II, where my mother served in the Army, she was a physicist. She worked alongside Robert Oppenheimer, which the movie finally acknowledges. And so other images of great veterans, like, for example, John McEachin, an actor, Army, one of the
I'm
first
sorry, ma'am. Your time.
It is?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm
Well,
sorry.
thank you. Just Metro, work with us, please. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Jerry Orleman.
Good afternoon, and I thank you all for allowing me the opportunity to speak. I'm Jerry Orleman. I know that because it's written right here. What's not written on my shirt, though, is that I'm the first vice president for Vietnam Veterans of America California State Council. We support Metro. At our recent national convention, we passed a resolution supporting the station being put in. But I think there's some things that just don't add up. And I think part of the problem is reflected in what the station is being called, Metro Westwood / VA Hospital. I don't think that is appropriate. It's not a Westwood station, it's a VA hospital station or something reflecting the housing community that will be going in on the campus. And I think this name has spread over into the artistry in that it's being included. As was said, I believe, the history of the VA and the history of the surrounding area. We don't need the surrounding area. This is for the VA hospital, the VA veterans, or the veterans that will be living on the campus. And those are the people, and the VA employees, those are the people who are going to be using this particular station. We're not talking about people using the station to get to Westwood. It's just to the VA area. Excuse me. I think a lot of stuff can be done as far as the history goes, going back to early times when the property was first given to the VA in 1888. And I think it can go through today's times. And I also think there's a spot for maybe projecting the future. We're talking a new community that's going in. There are some renderings of what that might be. We're talking about building 500 with drastic changes to that. Perhaps a future area could reflect that. But what I don't believe should be reflected is the surrounding area outside of the campus. I agree with just about everything that's been said by any of the commissioners. And I have to say that I'm one of those veterans who agrees with Mr. Allman most of the time. I, again, thank you for allowing me to talk, and that's it.
Thank you, sir. Next person we have is Braden Yoder. Braden Yoder, are you present? We'll check to see if they're online. Christine Barre.
Good afternoon. My name is Christine Berry. I'm president of the 1887 Fund and a member of the Wadsworth Chapel Heritage Partners. But I'm here today to represent the Bandini family. My great, great, great aunt, Arcadia Bandini de Baker, donated the land with Senator Jones in 1887, ratified by Congress in 1888. There's a long storied history of this property, starting with the Indians. Then it was the Rancho San Vicente y Santa Monica. Here it's depicted as the Rancho de las Rodeo de las Aguas. This mural does not reflect the history of the land. It In February of this year, when I found out about this, I reached out to the artist and I emailed him and said I represented the family and offered the archives, offered many, many pictures and all that. And he was actually very welcoming, but it had to be approved by Metro. And Metro did not approve us helping the artist with renderings, etc. It is the Pacific Branch. It was the first national home west of the Rockies. And the national homes were started by Abraham Lincoln. This mural does not represent the land at all. It's not Westwood. If anything, it's Santa Monica. And it's very disappointing to see dinosaurs and a Denny's cafe, and it represented as Westwood with Hollywood in it. There's such a long storied history of the veterans. And I agree with the person that commented that it should come into the future, because the renovation of the land right now is very exciting, and what they're doing to return it to its original form and everything else is not represented at all here. And it's actually very disappointing to see dinosaurs and everything else that this artist has represented. So it should honor the veterans. It should honor the sacred land that it's on. And I hope that changes. Thank you.
Thank you. Julie Tristow, are you present? Julie Tristow? Can we check to see if she's online? Okay. We'll circle back. Brandy Lago.
Hello, my name is Brandy Lago. Thank you so much for having me, giving me the opportunity to speak. I am one of the artists that helped participate in some of the artwork. I was honored. So I'm gonna kind of spin this around and actually thank the Metro. I helped participate in 2 of the art programs here. I am a 100% disabled Marine Corps veteran. I was part of the domiciliary program during this events. Art, I'm an MST, PTSD, I don't know if survivor is the right word. That's what I went to the DOM for, to help with treatment. I hadn't used art, haven't used my art side since I was 19, 20 years old. And when I got to the DOM, they gave us art therapy as part of treatment. And while I was there, I entered an art piece in the art show last year, 2 pieces actually at the end. And it brought me to Claire's attention. And that led me to part of the mosaic wall that's being replaced to part of the mural that's being decommissioned. So I was involved in that art project. And then that in turn led me to participate in the art clinics with Francisco, the artist that's doing the mural for the ticketing area. All I can say is art has helped me come out of the dark place. And if it hadn't been meeting Claire and Francisco and untapping that part of me, it has helped keep my sanity. And it has been a blessing from the High Almighty to be part of this project. And when I look at those murals and I see my art incorporated in those 2 pieces, it is so humbling and so blessing to me to be a part of this project. And I just thank God every day for putting these people into my path. So thank you for letting me share.
Thank you, Ms. Lago. Stephen Machuga.
All right, I'm going to read this off my phone. My name is Stephen Machuga. I was an Army infantry and intelligence captain employed twice. I'm the executive director for military charity Stack Up, supporting U.S. and allied veterans through gaming and geek culture. I don't know about all y'all. I've served with plenty of wonderful dinosaurs during my 8 years in the service. I'm here wasting my afternoon when I could be working on more important matters. I personally do not care what artwork goes on the mural in the metro station because I have more pressing concerns about the West LA VA veterans in our organization is serving. However, I am here today not because of the ridiculous mural being placed over at Pacific Station, but more importantly, the fact of concerns of veterans not being listened to by those in charge. I personally love Director Allman's hinting at the idea of scrapping the mural altogether or slapping it up somewhere else. The head-scratching selection of non-veteran artists and known problems, Sando Burke, and the myriad of issues that were brought up by the recommendations of the Veterans Advisory Commission and Veterans Community Oversight and Engagement Board, as well as the letter from the Supervisor Lindsay Horvath back in January and February. Here we are in September and the actual artwork has been unveiled, and I guess no one should be surprised at the results. 4 of the artists understood the homework assignment, but guess what? The problem artist was the problem. I'm guessing with all the people who have stepped up before me to voice their concerns over the last 9 months, much like myself, are wasting their time and energy here because obviously Metro has some agenda here they're hell-bent to put this mural up. In the face of such dissent and all their parties of this strangely wrong-headed and unforced error, I feel I have to start asking the question, is this negligence or is there something more nefarious in play? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Machuga. Daniel Ortiz.
How do I follow that up? My name is Dan Ortiz. I am a prior commissioner. Good afternoon, commissioners. I just want to say this art, well, first off, I'm biased against Metro because I come from East LA and Metro took advantage of us. But this is a whole nother project. Okay, they're taking advantage of us again. What I'd like to point out that nobody's talked about is Mr. Burke had a piece that was at the Hollenbeck Police Station. A very similar piece that was put up years ago. I went on an adventure to look for this. Doesn't exist. The community was outraged about this, and it's no longer in existence. Is that what's going to happen here, commissioners? Is that what's on the agenda? Are we going to waste money on this thing just to store it away somewhere? Where, I mean, it's horrible as it is. Dinosaurs. Yeah, you guys took care of the porn issue, but really, the artist didn't know what that was when he first put it up. I just, Metro lied to East LA. I think they're lying to veterans now. I do support the Metro stop, okay, but let's get real about the art. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ortiz. Bailey Steele.
Good afternoon, Veterans Advisory Commission, Metro, and fellow veterans of the community. My name is Bailey Steele, local community leader and a Navy veteran of 8 years. According to the Department of Transportation, equity in transportation seeks fairness in mobility and accessibility to meet the needs of all community members, particularly populations that are traditionally underserved. I recognize that there are many organizations in this room that represent veterans, and not for lack of trying, I believe that many veterans of Los Angeles remain underserved purely because there are so many of us in Los Angeles. Approximately 281,000 per Military and Veterans Affairs, Los Angeles County. By connecting us to the West LA VA via public transportation, the West Los Angeles Metro Station represents a significant shift in equity for one of, if not the most densely veteran populated cities in America. Furthermore, per Department of Transportation, a central goal of transportation is to facilitate social and economic opportunities by providing equitable levels of access to affordable and reliable transportation options based on the needs of the populations being served. This significant shift in equity for my fellow veterans demands a particular statement from Metro. one that shows what future progress could be possible for every veteran who will now be connected via Metro to the West LA VA Hospital, where many veterans are suffering through service-related injuries, and the adjacent campus where many veterans currently live and are diligently working towards reintegrating into civilian life. After seeing the artwork and hearing statements from Metro, I see a gross missed opportunity. Several of the current art proposals include limited depictions of the historic West LA campus and, by extension, no mention of a very necessary part of our history, present, and future. I can assure Metro that they can indeed do even more for our community simply by shifting their perspective. I would implore Metro to redirect towards lending to a brighter future for Los Angeles and its heroes by the commissioning of artwork that more thoughtfully represents what future identity their newest station will impose on our community, and by extension, what future social and economic opportunities it could afford to our service members. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Steele. Mayra Duarte.
Hello, commissioners and all fellow veterans and civilians, if there are any here. I am Mayra Duarte. I am an Air Force combat veteran. I served 10 years in the United States Air Force. Just looking at the murals as I walked in, as it has already been stated, there is nothing that I can see that would help me calm my anxiety and any other thoughts that I have already coming to the VA, already leaving my safe space, which is usually fellow veterans in the Antelope Valley, as I am involved in the community. I am returning back to school. I think I forgot to mention I'm 100% disabled and it's all service connected. So one way or another, the service did affect me. I served in a male career field. And so not seeing anything, oh, and I am from LA. So not seeing anything from the history of where we were and where we are, and not seeing anything that motivates or encourages doesn't help the situation already coming down here. So I too do not agree with the artist. If he likes the painting, if other people like the painting, perhaps it could be placed elsewhere. For it to be here, it is an insult and a slap in the face to myself and I'm sure other veterans. What he has done in the past speaks for itself, and that just tells where he comes from and how he feels. So for us to have to view that as, I did struggle with substance abuse as well. I'm over 5 years sober. And West LA does have a facility. We have mental health, we have addictions, we have programs, we have groups. This isn't stuff that we need to see. If anything, it needs to be more loving, more encouraging, more empowering, more positive. We need to be able to see that there is growth, that there is something better, that we don't have to be stuck in the dark holes or the dark places that perhaps we came from or our mind goes to. The mural should be helping us to come out of that. It should be something, like I said, loving, positive, encouraging, the growth where we've come from and where we are. We have grown for the better. I don't think that we are worse off. I think there are a lot of changes, and I do believe that we can do a lot better if Metro put their foot down and actually understood and heard what the veterans are saying and what we need. I do think that they can do better. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert Pelago.
Robert Pelayo.
Pelayo, sorry.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Robert Pelayo. I was born in Los Angeles in Boyle Heights, grew up, lived in the city, joined the service, got away from here, came back to LA. I'm also a Metro employee. I work on the rail side. I just found out about this yesterday, so I'm here. Took the day off. I know the experience of riding light rail. I know experience of riding the subway. As a veteran, I put myself in the shoes of the veteran getting out of the service, having to jump on that subway, dealing with what we need to deal with, which the public is already aware of. And I know Metro's, we're working very hard on that. Then to get off at this stop, the last stop, feeling lost, and you see this mural, I feel like Land of the Lost. You know, there's nothing to depict anything that has to do with my experience. And for my experience, speaking of the Naval, when I joined the service, I remember Long Beach. I wanted to be a Marine so I can be on a ship from there and be from LA. That was my experience growing up, what I wanted to do. So, sorry, I did a little bit of notes, but this is a trigger knowing if, some veterans will start reading and finding out, the views of the artist, and the fact that there was 1,500 other applicants and we chose this one, not doing a little bit of history of the actual things that he, his views. I think Metro can do better. And I know that things have changed over the last few months, but again, just like everyone else, I just feel it's very confusing when you get out because it has nothing to do with the center. One last note I wanted to bring up is that we have a national cemetery that is walking distance when you get off from there, and nowhere here is it talked about. I mean, thinking about the Olympics, people might want to take the train to the last stop, get off, and walk across the street to look at the National Cemetery, something that we don't really take into account. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Palayo. Ms. Tesbanko?
Thank you. Thank you, commissioners, for having me. Hi, everyone. I am Tess Banco. I have been a commissioner on this board. I'm a Marine Corps veteran, and in full disclosure, I am on the principal developer team that is working to transform the West Los Angeles VA campus. As such, I am immersed daily in the stories and the lives and the needs of veterans, especially aboard the West Los Angeles VA campus. Personally, as a veteran, I deeply support the station, as many do. I've gotten that feedback numerous times, and the thousands of veterans that I've talked to, it is going to open up a new avenue of accessibility, of economic possibility for veterans on the campus. And of course, there are concerns for things like safety. There's been a lot of questions about how is that safety going to be regulated there in the station. I have to say that personally, I'm disappointed. I was disappointed to hear that women veterans didn't have more of a voice in the process. I think, we live here in the largest population of veterans in the country. You have easy access to MBA. You have easy access to the Veterans Administration and its women's programs. I don't think it would have been too much of a stretch to find a woman veteran or a group of women veterans to incorporate. I know you're trying, but please try harder. I get my services at the VA. And again, being immersed in the care and housing of veterans, not only as part of the therapeutic community and building that, but also the community structure that's so vitally needed, especially at West LA. In my opinion, active duty is not warranted in terms of the artistic renderings. And it also shouldn't be called Westwood Station. I think it's on the outskirts of Westwood. It's its own parcel of land in between Westwood and Brentwood, and it deserves to be honored as such through its history. When I first saw the artist's painting, one of the artist's paintings, and there were images, less than flattering images of women veterans, I was really upset. It was very upsetting, especially because I've had to work so hard in my own life and career to be respected, not only as a woman, but as a veteran. And I do experience, harassment, even just working on the campus and walking into the hospital. But I also think that this is a teachable and reachable moment. Most artworks that I see, they just don't capture the rich history of 1887. And I want to challenge you, Metro, and your artists, come to visit. I don't know if you took a tour, and I don't know who you took it with. I work in Historic Building 33 along with the 1887 Fund, Christine Berry. There's a cache of historic photographs up at the Bandini Heroes Golf Course. There are historical photos within the building. There are lots and lots of sources for the history that you could draw from for inspiration, for things other than what you've depicted. So again, it's not a complaint, it's a challenge. Please come visit, delve deeper into the history, and try harder.
Thank you, Ms. Banco. Ms. Kyle Orelman.
Good afternoon, commissioners and members of the public. I would like to piggyback on a couple of comments. I didn't intend to say anything until I got here and just took a look at the mural, and I have a couple of comments to address that. I knew that there was an image of the dinosaur and some of the other things that were not related to the West LA campus on the mural. But when I looked at it just now, and I realized that the dinosaur is prominently centered on the mural, in front of the most visible and recognizable building on the campus, which is the chapel, it struck me that that might be a subtle method that the artist has used to convey his opinion of military service and the veterans. I found it tremendously insulting. And as I said to you when I met you in January, I think the only artist that they could have selected that would have been more controversial and more insulting than this would have been if they had selected Jane Fonda to do the mural. Okay, that being said, I have a couple of suggestions. We're talking about the history of that campus. I think it would be really neat if the artist incorporated perhaps a progression starting with the donor, Arcadia Bandini, and going through Christina Berry and also in the middle, Carolina Berry, because they were both involved today during their lives in making this campus what it's going to be. And I think their family's history should be represented by the three people from their family that have been most directly involved. So that's a suggestion. Another thing is there's a rich history, as everyone has talked about, and I think there should be a section of the mural that includes a historical progression of the campus buildings. Let's start out with the Pacific Branch and the original hospital on Slauson. Let's have a rendition of Building 500 as it exists right now, since it will be taken down to 2 stories and will no longer look like it looks at the moment. Let's have that in there. Let's also have, let's see, I agree with the other comment a moment ago about the National Cemetery. There are a lot of veterans from your own families that are buried there that you visit. At some point or another, your families will visit you probably there. There should be a recognition of that National Cemetery. There should be, I think, the symbol that you all use in the military when someone is passed and you have the boots with the rifle sticking out of it. I'm sorry, I don't know the whole technicality as I am not a veteran. I am simply a veteran caregiver. That should be part of the image. I also think one of the other things historically that isn't represented on that is it's the Wadsworth VA Hospital and the Wadsworth Theater. I have no idea who Wadsworth was. But don't you think, since the facility is named for him, that there should be a depiction of the Wadsworth that the facility is named after? And one other thing, going back to the comment about the National Cemetery and the boots and rifle image, there are survivors that are left, and there should be a depiction in there about a family member, perhaps a mother and child, grieving at a gravesite. That should be in there. That's part of the lived experience of the people who have visited that campus since it was put in and the cemetery was put in, and those of us who will be visiting it in the future. So basically, that's my thought. Thank you very much for the time.
I just want to double check. Mr. Millen, is Mr. Millen, Mr. Reynolds, Yoder, or Tristal present or online? I want to thank all the people that came out to give public comment. I know this took a long period of time, but I don't think anyone speaks better for the commission than the public, since we are trying to represent you. So I appreciate the time, effort, because we all know this is not the easiest place to get to. So thank you again for all your comments. We hear you. I hope Metro has heard you also. On back to board business, if we can go back to recommendation number 4. Commissioner Allman, if you want to just give us some context real quick, we'll have to speed through the rest of our business.
So at the last meeting, we received a briefing from DHS, Department of Health Services, regarding the CBEST program and specifically the funding measures within that program. And one of the things that struck me was that this department has not received any Measure H money at all. And if there's a strategy that is specifically tailored to military veterans and the department in which this county relies on to lead services for military veterans doesn't see any of that funding, I think that's a problem. And currently, I think the way that the dollars are structured is that it's done through contract to other service providers. And I think that there's a role for the service providers to play, but I think that MVA should be the lead when it comes to all issues military veteran in LA County. So what the recommendation strives to accomplish is asking the Board of Supervisors to take a look at all veteran serving programs in LA County and consolidate them under this department and hopefully fund them adequately to ensure that they can execute, that this department can execute those objectives. So with that, do you want me to read the recommendation into the record?
Quickly.
Okay. Like micro machines fast? Okay. Whereas on February 7th, 2023, the Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors instructed the Director of Military and Veteran Affairs and Chief Executive Officer to report back in 60 days on recommendations to remove silos and improve service integration to efficiently serve veterans experiencing homelessness. Whereas on May 30th, 2023, the Chief Executive Officer, Director of Military and Veteran Affairs, and Director of Public Works provided a report back to the Board of Supervisors. The report identified 7 silos and barriers, including 1, lack of integration, 2, differing program eligibility criteria, 3, document readiness, 4, veteran support services are not geographically accessible, 5, lack of affordable and veteran-specific permanent supportive housing options, 6, insufficient mobile and street-based mental health services, 7, insufficient non-congregate interim housing options. Whereas in response to item 1 above, the Department of Military and Veteran Affairs recommended exploring the feasibility and impact of consolidating currently funded county veteran programs and redistributing them across several veteran resource centers, creating more widely accessible hubs. Whereas on August 16th, 2023, the Veterans Advisory Commission received a briefing from the Department of Health Services regarding the countywide benefits entitlements services team CBEST program, whereas CBEST Strategy C5, funded by Measure H, calls for the creation of a countywide veterans benefits advocacy program for veterans experiencing homelessness or at risk of homelessness. Whereas the Veterans Advisory Commission has discovered that the Department of Military and Veteran Affairs has not been tasked with leading Strategy C5 or received any Measure H funding despite being the lead agency charged with serving veterans throughout Los Angeles County. Whereas this oversight underscores the continued fragmentation of veteran serving programs throughout the county. Therefore, be it resolved on September 20th, 2023, the Los Angeles County Veterans Advisory Commission recommends that the Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors initiate a report back identifying all programs and services exclusively serving service members and/or veterans in Los Angeles County, create a plan to consolidate identified programs under the Department of Military and Veterans Affairs, and adequately fund the department to administer delivery of such programs to service members, veterans, and their families throughout Los Angeles County.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any discussion or questions among the commissioners? If not, need a motion.
A motion to approve recommendation number 4.
Second.
Stephanie, can we do a roll call for a vote?
Chair Zato,
Yay.
Vice Chair Noyola,
Yay.
Commissioner Crooks,
Yay.
Commissioner Palmero,
Yay.
Commissioner Jackson Kelly. Yay. Commissioner McFadden,
Yay.
Commissioner Allman,
Yay.
Commissioner Gutierrez,
Yay.
Commissioner Anderson,
Yay.
unanimous vote. Chair.
Thank you. Thanks for your work, Commissioner Allman. Director, I know you gave us the opportunity to bite into your time. We bit all of it, but we'll give you a few minutes if you want to highlight a few things.
Yeah, it was military intelligence, can't you tell?
Yeah, just real briefly, we did provide some slides for the commission. I know you guys asked for some data from the department a while ago. Appreciate your patience. We've been reorganizing the department as we go, as you know, and we're finally at a place to where we will be providing numbers, data every month to the commission as we continue to become more data driven as a department. But yeah, happy to yield the time and also want to thank the public for coming out and informing the department on how you feel about veteran issues. So thank you.
Thank you, Director. We'll make sure that the slides are shared with the commissioners. If we can jump forward to future agenda items. Are there other items that commissioners want to get reports on? Should be coming up in a minute.
Chair, if I could.
Yeah.
I received an email from a constituent that I know we've talked a lot about Metro Art here today, but she was concerned about not the interior station art so much as the mural itself, the existing mural, not the mural side that's going to be decommissioned. And what I thought was interesting is that I wasn't, or I didn't understand that that's actually under LA County jurisdiction, the underpass. I didn't know that. So perhaps Public Works would be the entity to LA County Public Works. I'm not sure which agency would be responsible for maintaining the underpass. I don't think it's Metro. Right. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else?
Commissioner Palmero, I just received a notification from a constituent Marine veteran who was concerned about the first mile and the last mile of the Metro line. There was that issue with where the end of the line is. And also, I know there had been talk about having tap cards for some of the residents for the veterans that are living on campus. And so I didn't know if we could bring that up or if this was the correct place to bring it up to be able to address that with Metro.
I think we can try and get clarification on that in a separate briefing.
Fantastic.
So we'll put it on the list.
Thank you.
Director, do you have something?
Yeah, if I could real quickly, I forgot to thank Metro for coming out. Claire, I really appreciate you coming out, bringing all the art, bringing it to us. I know it's a trek and parking isn't the best here. So appreciate you coming down and bringing the art. Thank you.
Next slide, please. We'll just go by district, last minute, good of the order, concerns, thoughts. Go ahead, SD1.
Commissioner Palmero, as some of you may or may not know, I am a Navy veteran who is also the coordinator for Women Vets on Point with US Vets. We have a major event coming up. It is being hosted here at Bob Hope Patriotic Hall on October 14th. It is called the Battle Boutique, and it is in conjunction with the Los Angeles Veterans Collaborative, MVA, as well as Southern California Grant Makers. We are providing professional clothing, hair and makeup, work on resumes, professional headshots, mock interviews, as well as employers are going to be on campus that are actually going to be hiring. Child activities will be available, and we're just excited to share this with our veterans who identify as women, as well as dependents that identify as women. So we just wanted to put that out there. I have flyers, and there will be some outside as well. If you have any questions, please let me know. I will be here giving out my business card, but there's also a really handy dandy QR code that will take you right to the Eventbrite. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Crooks.
I just want to take a minute to thank the public for coming out and making their voices known, because no one will know what you think and how you feel unless you come up and tell somebody. And I also want to take and thank the commission itself for the passage of recommendation number 4. You know, the thing has happened with this department for so many years. It's been so underfunded and so looked over and it's supposed to do a job. You can't do a job without the money and being placed in charge. So again, thank you. And thank you for all for being here.
Commissioner Jackson Kelly. She yields her time. Commissioner McFadden, are you still there?
I am, nothing to add.
Thank you. Vice. All right, SD3, Commissioner Allman.
I just want to encourage people to read the LA Times this morning. They did some great coverage on the ongoing motion to dismiss and legal proceedings. And also the LAS, formerly KPCC, has been doing some great coverage as well, not only on the litigation, but also the AMI issue that I think a lot of people are aware of. But and then the last thing I would mention is that the Federal Advisory Committee that oversees VA West LA will receive a briefing from HUD on the AMI issue next week. I believe that's on the 28th. And so that should be pretty interesting. So if you have an opportunity, join live, although I think it's 8 in the morning East Coast time. So it's going to be rough, but there's going to be a recording.
Commissioner Anderson.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank Commissioner Allman for the research and diligence on the recommendation to consolidate funding. I think that Measure H funding should direct into getting veterans housed, and this is a great location for that to start and enlighten. The other is there are 5 tribute walls to the Washington Vietnam Memorial in this country. 4 of them are managed by nonprofits. Only one of them was a grassroots community effort up in the Antelope Valley. It is a half-scale tribute wall of the 58,000 plus Americans who gave their lives in the cause, whatever opinions one may hold about it. But it will be on display in Kern County through the week of the Veterans Day Memorial, the Veterans Day holiday. I always think of it as memorial, but it's memory. In any event, the Antelope Valley Mobile Vietnam Wall, we have a couple of volunteers here with that effort. I want to thank citizens from the Antelope Valley, Myra Duarte, an Air Force veteran of Iraq. I want to thank Robert Palayo, a Marine Recon veteran of Somalia. And I want to thank my jump buddy, Captain Machuga.
All right. I don't have anything else to say. I want to thank the staff for the awesome work they did today. Thanks for everyone's patience. Thank you once again for the public for showing your voice. We're grateful for you. I'm grateful for everybody in here, and I'm hoping that we can continue to work together as we move forward. Thank you very much for being here. Meeting adjourned.